Well, welcome to another conversation for Millionairess magazine and the Millionairess movement. I'm Amanda Jane Clarkson, editor-in-chief, and today I'm delighted to be joined by the very inspiring Janine Garner. Janine is a highly sought-after keynote speaker, educator, best-selling author, and she's worked with thousands of high-profile leaders from around the globe, helping many of Australia's top 50 ASX companies and multinationals accelerate their impact, increase performance, and unleash their brilliance. Janine is the best-selling author of It's Who You Know and From Me to We, and now her latest book, Be Brilliant, How to Lead a Life of Influence. I love it. Welcome, Janine, and thank you so much for sharing your time with us today here. I really appreciate it.
Oh, it's my absolute pleasure. As I said, congratulations on everything you are doing, everything you stand for. And why would I not be here supporting you in driving change and inspiring other women to step up and drive change themselves? So it's my absolute pleasure.
Well, we could sit here and chat all day, but why don't you share part of your story of where you began to where you are today? What was the lead up to?
Oh my God, I reckon a movie could be made, but we could probably say that about everybody, right? Do you know what? Age is a wonderful thing, isn't it? So I'm 49. I turn 50 next year, and this year has been a really interesting one of retrospectively thinking through each of the stages of my life and what that has meant. And it's something I actually get many of my clients to do, because what's really fascinating when you do that is you see this continuous thread that starts appearing at these moments. And for me, you know, that thread was this absolute fascination with the power of connecting in the right way, and equally this internal drive and determination to help other people live the life that they want to live. For so long, I've been frustrated. I'd spoken, as you mentioned, to lots of executives and individuals and business owners, and I was hearing this frustration, this exhaustion, this feeling of being stuck, of not being good enough. And I just went, enough, we've got to stop this. And it's only when I look back. So someone said to me, there's two things that people have said to me recently. One person said to me, Janine, you've become the person that you wish you'd had when you were in your late teens, early 20s. And the second thing, my speaker agent said to me, you're the queen of reinvention. Both of which I went, no, I'm not. And then it was only in retrospect that I went, actually, this is right. So I started life in the UK. I'm from the north of England. I come from a very working class family. My dad was a farmer. My mom was a stay-at-home mom. And life pretty much was very simple. I learned how to drive a tractor. I would collect the eggs, and my weekends were spent working on the market stall at the weekend. And, you know, that's pretty much what I did. So from as early as I can remember, I was in charge of the eggs, and I was selling the eggs and trying to upsell to a dozen instead of half a dozen. Again, incredible characters. But for me, I never felt like I fitted in, Amanda. It was this really strange feeling of there's got to be more. Yeah, there's got to be more. And when I was about 17, my mum came home from a parent-teachers evening, and the teachers had said to her, I think your daughter should apply for Oxford or Cambridge. To which I went, no, I can't do that. You know, because in my head, these elite universities were only for those that were rich, that were really, really smart. And what could this farming working class girl possibly do to go there? And so I ruled it out. But what it did do is start sparking this possibility. I wonder if this could be my get out of jail for free card. And so I applied to uni, and we didn't have the money for me to go and get a further education. I had to apply to the government, and essentially the government paid for my 4 years of education, for all the boarding. I got a grant from them. And that really was the very first stepping stone in terms of me setting off and creating the life that I now have. I remember being petrified. I remember packing my bag. I remember leaving home for the first time, and actually it was the only time. I've never been back. I left home at 18 with that backpack, I went to uni for 4 years. I did a Bachelor of Science degree and specialized in marketing. And then from there, I moved with a whole heap more debt down to London to start life in the fashion industry. I started as a graduate trainee. I worked right in the middle of Soho, where all these amazing fashion brands are, and over 7 years built my career in marketing. But what was interesting looking back, I spent that entire time striving and proving I was good enough, striving for more, and this innate imposter syndrome, lack of belief was driving me to prove I was good enough. So I never stopped. I was constantly looking for the next and the next and the next, and still had this feeling that there's got to be more, there's got to be more. At the age of 29, I decided to pack it all in again, and this time I arrived in Australia. So I had fallen in love with my now husband, and I arrived in Australia with a backpack, a resume, a permanent residency visa, and that's it. I had no job, nowhere to live, no income, nothing at the age of 29. And that to me was this first real awareness of the power of connection, of how when you connect in the right way, you build these incredible relationships that span over time. How when you learn to connect in the right way, you have this chance to become more than you could be on your own. And actually, when you connect in the right way, you can build businesses and careers. So for me, I had to rebuild my career in a country where I knew absolutely no one. I had to rebuild a network again in that country where I knew no one, and I had to create this life that had been the picture postcards ideal of what it should be like to live in Australia. And it was tough. It was one of the hardest things I've done in terms of rebuilding that career where you've got no social proof. But eventually, so we originally arrived in Melbourne on the 1st of December 2000. We couldn't find work. We took 6 months off and backpacked in a 2-man tent for 6 months. If I didn't fall in love with my husband then, there would have been no chance. And then we tried to find work and there was no work. And I remember going to, someone had connected me with somebody who worked in professional services. Now this is like 20 odd years ago. And I met this woman for coffee in Melbourne, and she said to me, I'll never forget it. She said to me, do you know what, Janine? The reason it's so hard to find work is sometimes you've got to pretend you don't know the answer and wear some pink, was the advice I got from this senior woman in professional services at the time. And I went, that's rubbish. Seriously? No, why should I become somebody that I'm not? And so that again then instilled this desire of just this fight, this hunger to prove that I could build my career as a woman with children, with friends, with life in a big corporate job. I had this absolute fire in my belly. And that's what I did over the next sort of 7 to 8 years. I worked in corporate Australia. I became the group marketing director at Oraton Group. So I looked after the Oraton brand and the Ralph Lauren brand throughout Asia. And then the next phase kicked in. And I can remember literally, on paper, I had the most amazing job. I had a great salary. I was traveling the world. I was going to great launch events, but there was something missing, Amanda. There was something that I'd lost. I'd lost that fire in my belly. And I was meeting these incredible female entrepreneurs that were just had this fire to create businesses out of nothing, and nothing was going to stop them. I had this wonderful opportunity to meet Abigail Disney. I had a private lunch with Abigail Disney, who's the grandniece of Walt Disney. And I remember saying to her, Abigail, how do you do it all? And she said to me, Janine, it's not about climbing Mount Everest. You simply have to choose to be a brick in the wall of change, is what she said to me. You've got to choose to be a brick in the wall of change. And then the third thing that triggered it for me is I came home from work. Both myself and my husband were full-timers. I had 3 children under 7 at the time. Still got them, they're just a bit older. But I had 3 children under 7. We were both working full-time. My kids were totally institutionalized. I dropped off at daycare when it opened, picked up when it closed. And we were sitting down at dinner, and my daughter said to me, Mummy, why are you so busy? And I said, well, I'm working hard, building career, blah, 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 earning money, buying toys, whatever it is. And then she looked at me, she was 5, and she said to me, but Mummy, why are you so unhappy?
Wow.
And it was this moment for me where I really had to question. I was, well, what would I have been, 38, 39? And I had to, it was this moment where I really had to question, why am I doing all of this stuff? And what I realized is everything that I had set out to do for my work was all about proving that we could do it, that actually we can have careers, we can build successful business, we can do anything that we want, as well as be a wife, a partner, a mother, whatever it is. And yet, what message was I sending to my kids? My daughter was seeing me knackered and exhausted at the weekends and constantly on the phone and never stopping and not watching Finding Nemo for the 100th time without checking my phone. And my boys, I've got 2 boys too, what message was I sending to them? And I realized that the only way I could truly drive change was that to actually do it for myself.
Be the change.
Be the change. The only way I could signal to my kids, i.e. the next generation of leaders, this incredible group of individuals that are going to change the world, that have the chance to challenge leadership, that have the opportunity to build businesses on their own terms, was to actually do it for myself. And so I left my job. I left that corporate career and the salary, and I started to bootstrap my own business. And essentially over those next 8-9 years, I built what was LBD Group. It was a female networking company that spanned across Australia. We were testing in Singapore and the UK. And then, typical Janine, something kicked in again. And I sold the business in March 2019 because it was time to actually take the message out to a bigger place. And so what I do now is I write, I speak, I work with individuals privately, owners of businesses that are scaling up, or corporate individuals, about, okay, how do we get you to unleash your brilliance? How do we get you to be the best version of you, the best version of you that you can possibly be? Because only in that way are you able to unleash the brilliance of the people around you. And too many of us are faking it till we make it. So I'm on a mission right now. My mission is to unleash brilliance in 10 million people over the next 10 years. And the reason I'm doing that is because of the impact that one person can have if they are living and breathing life on their terms, if they are bringing the best of themselves to the work that they do, the impact that they can have to the left and the right of them, to the people above them and below them, is actually the change that we need. And so that's the work that I do now.
I just love it. And I can feel it coming from within. And it's so aligned with Millionairess movement and our message. And in my book, I talk about the butterfly effect. Be the change that you want to see in others. And it's not what you get from this journey, but who you become. And even with your numbers, our numbers, 100 million women over the next 100 years, same amount of women, basically, just different numbers. And this is what I'm so, I guess, inspired by, that there's no mistake that we're connecting here. But I want to just jump back into your story for a moment, because it's not too dissimilar to mine. I'm thinking, this woman was my sister from another life or another mother or something, because I'm in my 50s now, and it's not too dissimilar, leaving home and doing so many jobs, so many businesses. The woman who's watching this, she'd be thinking, oh my God, I'm so connected to Janine and her story. Going from that life of conformity, of expectation, how you should act and be in the community and that career, and you keep saying, no, that's not for me, that doesn't feel right. Then you went in and started your own business. You pulled away from the job, the safety and security of a job, to bootstrapping your own business, which is a scary ride, isn't it?
Yeah.
Let's talk about that for a moment, because this is where so many of our followers are at. They're desperate to be that entrepreneur, to be that businesswoman, but man, they're wearing so many masks and I don't know where to begin. So what would be a couple of steps of unleashing your brilliance that you could help our ladies with?
Fabulous question. That commentary around people don't know where to begin, people holding themselves back, people having a dream and it not becoming real. The biggest enemy to your success, to achieving your dreams and becoming whatever it is you want to become, is always within.
Yep.
It is always within. And it shows itself in a number of ways. It shows itself in terms of the fatigue, the exhaustion, the busyness of life, getting wrapped up in being stretched in multiple directions, or the numerous choices that are available. The fatigue of being busy, of choice and stretch, keep you still, because it's just like, oh my God, I can't take on anymore. I can't do this. Coupled with we enter into, I call it, that is the triangle of blame-itis, where we blame something else for our inability to move forward. And we're deflecting from ourselves onto something else. Or we blame someone else for our lack. You know, it's my partners, it's my husband, it's my boss, it's my kids. It becomes someone else's fault as to why you can't achieve your goals. And at worst, the top part of that triangle is we become defeatist. It's my fault. I'm not good enough. I'm not smart enough. The imposter syndrome kicks in, the comparisonitis kicks in, and the fatigue with the blame fuels stress, and the negative of stress is it keeps you stuck. My question to people to think about is, who are you not to be brilliant? Who are you not to be brilliant? Like, who says you can't be? And what would change if you were brilliant? So who are you not to be brilliant? And what would change if you are brilliant? But see, for me, this concept of brilliance, I've been asked a couple of times since I launched the book about, oh, Janine, this utopia view, and who's to say? And it's that question, who are you not to be? Who says you can't? You see, I believe brilliance is a choice.
Yeah.
I believe it's a practice, and I believe it is a discipline to every single day go, what am I doing to stretch myself to my new frontier of brilliance, to get perspective on what it is that you're doing and take ownership of the choices that you're making, the impact that you're having, the good stuff that you've done, and also the stuff that's going your way. And if I were to give a couple of tips, the first one is get really clear on who you are right now. Who are you right now? What's got you here? What is the good stuff? What is the stuff that you love doing? Where is your passion, the stuff that fires you up? And think about who it is that you want to become. Like, stretch that frontier of brilliance. Who are you now, and who do you want to become? Do you want to launch your business? Do you want to build your career? Do you want to change the world? Do you want to go into non-for-profit? Do you want to speak? Do you want to write a book? You got to own that. And then the bit about who you're being really is about owning and claiming your passion. It's about absolutely getting clear on your expertise. And then it's about how you're going to solve it. But until you can get clear on the spotlight that you want to stand in, you will always feel that you're not actually good enough, or you're not getting there. Now, here's a clue that you're on the right track. If you're struggling with imposter syndrome, if you feel that you're doubting yourself, if you don't think you've got the confidence, then I go, you're on the right track. You're on the right track. Because those feelings of imposter syndrome, of not enough belief in yourself, of not enough confidence, are all about trying to keep you safe. And if you're feeling that, it means you're challenging yourself. And then it's about, I'm going to do it. Now, the doing it, as you know, is hard. It's easy to say. Like, I remember waking up probably about 7 years ago and saying to my husband, I'm going to triple my business and write a book. And he went, oh, good on you, love. How are you going to do that? And this is really where this next place comes from, because, you know, I still struggle with the self-doubt and the imposter syndrome when I push myself. But I went from, you know, a six-figure corporate salary with a great brand to earning nothing, to then over 7 years building that seven-figure business, and now doing the work that I do now. And the only way to get there is you've got to surround yourself with people that get the journey that you're on.
That's exactly what I want to get to now.
Yeah, so that's what I talk about in that second book. Yeah.
Yeah, well, they say it's okay for you.
Yeah.
You know, you got this and you've got that, or you come from that background, or you got to go to college. I didn't do any of that. How important is it in your view, and especially from your experience and what you see, to surround yourself with greatness, stand beside the giants, or on the shoulders of giants, as we say? How has that been an impact in your life?
It's the game changer. It is the game changer. You cannot be successful on your own. It doesn't matter how many dreams you have, how much vision you have, how much you've found your why, or you've been journaling about what you want to do.
Yeah.
It's having the ambition combined with the belief and the attention to achieving those goals that makes the change. It's the momentum that drives change. And the only way to get momentum is to surround yourself with people who believe in you, who see possibility where you see impossibility, who will hold you accountable, and who are so willing to share what they know because they want you to succeed. And sometimes this means that you outgrow the people in your world.
Exactly. So when they're in your close proximity, like family members who, have your best interests at heart, or maybe not, we talk about the black crab syndrome. How do you escape those people? I mean, I've learned to move away and understand that it's not them, it's me that's changing. I think that was one of the big lessons for me, Janine, instead of pointing the finger, going, actually, Amanda, it's you that is making the change.
And that's the answer to that question. It is, and it goes back to that blame triangle.
Yeah,
right. Blaming, and what are you blaming? And actually, it's about taking ownership of the journey that you are on. It's about not judging other people because of the choices that they've made, but it's about taking ownership on who's in your circle of influence that's going to lift you higher. I tell the story in my keynotes around this, and I'll share it here because it's a good analogy to think about. Yep. So a couple of years ago, my youngest son, he'd have been about 10, he had to do a school project on eagles. And of course, I helped him. And eagles are fascinating, right? Because when a storm hits, what the eagle does, it gets really excited and it flies as high as it possibly can to find that wind, to get above the storm so it can fly to its destination with as little effort as possible. And yet, as we experience, when you think about a storm, what you hear is all the other birds shouting and screaming and chirping and making so much noise in that they're going, essentially, get away from here. When's this storm going to shut? Now, I think the same happens with our network. I think too many of us are like the birds in the trees, surrounding ourselves with dream stealers, with energy zappers, with people that want to keep us small, with people that are just keeping you exactly where you want to go. And actually, what you need to do is intentionally seek out those eagles. Because when you surround yourself with eagles, you can fly absolutely higher than ever before. And in my book, I talk about there's 4 groups of people that we all need. And at the center of this is you, your vision and your goals and what it is that you want to achieve. And you have to surround yourself with these 4 key people. They are your promoters. They're the people that want you to become more. They understand your vision. They have bought into your vision, and it's nothing to do with them, but they will be your cheerleaders, your walking billboards. They absolutely want to help you get there, and they are stretching your potential. They see possibility where you see impossibility, and they're going, come on, you can do this. The second group are the pit crew, and the pit crew are all about keeping you in the moment. Their role is to keep your feet on the ground. I mean, you and I have probably worked with individuals that are so wrapped up in they're almost in the clouds of their dream and not doing the work that needs to be done to get there. You can't go from A to Z overnight. I don't care what anyone says. Any successful business or entrepreneur understands the importance of commercial patience, of the cadence of decision making, of doing the right thing at the right time onto which you layer the next step. And that's what this pit crew do. They don't care about how much money you're earning, whether you're on that front cover, whether you're traveling, whatever it is, they care about you. And they will make sure that you are ready to run the marathon of your dreams. They are absolutely the most critical role. And most of us don't have that. And it's not your husband, your wife, your mum, your dad, or your partner. It's got to be someone professionally. The third group I call teachers, and their job is to get you thinking better. They want you to know more. You know, in this world, particularly now most of us are online, there is a lot of sameness. You know, there are lots of lawyers, accountants, beauticians, hairdressers, marketeers, and we all look the same. And the only point of difference that you have is what you think and what you believe, what you are bringing to your work. And so teachers play this incredible role in our worlds, in that they're really stretching our thinking. They're taking us continuously into that zone of tension of learning where we feel uncomfortable. But if you can get to the other side, then it's great. I currently experienced this morning. I'm running I have a 7-week program called the Be Brilliant Advantage. And every Tuesday, I'm online with the people that are part of that program. And this morning, it was very much people just going, oh, I'm stuck. This is really uncomfortable. I'm confused. I'm going, awesome. It's exactly where you need to be. And it's changing our mindset around that actually you've got to get into that uncomfortable zone to learn. And the fourth group of people are what I call the butt kickers. Essentially, those people that are going to make sure that you're doing what you say you're going to do, that you're not getting taken off track, that you're not saying yes to the wrong things. And they're totally holding you accountable. And in my world, I teach this stuff. I've built my business in this way, where I literally go, what am I trying to do this year? What's the critical things I want to do in 2000? I'm now planning 2021. Okay, who are these people that I need in my world next year to ensure that I stretch my growth, that I don't stay still? Now, the caveat, Amanda, is, as you're probably picking up, I've got a massive growth mindset. I'm a lifelong learner, and there's no stopping me. Like, I'm continuously wanting to grow, because the bigger contribution piece is so important. And so for me, it is constantly making sure that as an individual, I'm a human being, I'm becoming better and better. So if we don't become what it is that we want to be, we're at risk of becoming the robots of life, of conforming.
We're going backwards.
We're going backwards. And I believe that as human beings, we have extraordinary potential to unleash our brilliance, to collaborate better, to connect more, to change our present, and as a result of that, change the present for other people.
Oh, I love what you're sharing here today, Janine, because especially in the current climate, 2020 has been a fascinating year, and you're given structure there. You've given simple but not easy, I guess, structure, steps towards creating that life by design, because that's what I love to talk about, and creating a business around a life by design that is what your vision of success looks like. Now, before we spoke about discipline, and to be successful as a parent, a teacher, a sports person, anything in life that you choose to be successful at, it takes discipline and awareness. Let's talk about that. How does discipline play a role in your success in your life? I mean, you're a mum of 3 teenagers, so there's no excuses out there, ladies. This woman's doing it all, and you can have it all. Discipline, let's talk about that. What is the part that discipline plays in this?
That's a really great question. And I just want to go back to it's not easy, right? It's not easy. Yes, I'm a mother of 3 teenagers. I don't always get it right. Yes, I'm running a business as well as trying to raise awesome human beings. I don't always get it right. And I think therein lies the discipline. It's the discipline to reflect and to be willing to correct. You only have this one moment. You only have this one life. And you can choose to be following along or doing what other people want you to do, or you can create the life that you want. And there are no rules. I don't care what anyone says. There are no rules about what it means to be a great business person, what it means to be a great mom, what it means to be a great wife. There are no rules. It's what you make it. And I think that's the challenge. And therein links the discipline. So the other thing with discipline is you also know what works for you. There is so many resources out there that can help you, great books around high performance habits and all of that stuff. But as we all know, we can read all this stuff, but unless we put it into action, nothing will happen. So for me, the discipline is very much around, how am I looking after my brain? What is the discipline around feeding it with good stuff? About having those smart conversations, about that constant curiosity around what's next. Again, this morning we were talking on my coaching call around your expertise and your passion actually doesn't change. How you deliver it does. And what we've got to get curious about is what has changed for my clients or in my work and what hasn't changed. And only understanding those two can you find the gaps. And this is where curiosity is going to be such an essential part as we navigate through to this reimagined future. Curiosity combined with intuition, because we don't have all the answers. Mm-hmm. So the discipline for me is a discipline around the mind. What am I teaching it? What am I feeding it? What conversations am I having? Which is why network's so important, right? I'm very disciplined about my health and well-being, because you can't FedEx this body back. It doesn't matter how incredible your idea is or, how much money you're earning. If this body is falling apart around you, you will lose everything. And the executives that suffer from burnout, the businesses that fall apart, the individuals whose dreams go unanswered, it is never, ever about the plan. It's about them not having the energy leadership to operate at their best.
Can we just talk about that for a second? Because I think I'm so big on this. We talk about your self-worth equals your net worth equals your life worth. And I don't mean net worth as in money, the net of what you're creating and attracting. Self-love, massive amount of women put everybody else first. They play the martyr. I'll put the kids first. I'll put this person first and the boss first. And they just let themselves go to rack and ruin mentally and emotionally in some cases. Where do you feel that self-love plays a vital role in having that life that you absolutely love living?
I think it is the vital ingredient. It was interesting. My husband went out on a boys' night recently, and I was asking him, what did you talk about? And they were talking about their wives and their partners and the work that they were doing. And Jason made this comment. He said, the thing with Janine, her success is because she's actually quite selfish. And everyone went, ooh. And he went, no, it's good. And this is what I want your listeners to listen to. His view was it's good because she's selfish in that she knows what she needs to do to operate at her best. So for me, a walk by the ocean is the circuit breaker. The meditation is the circuit breaker. The sleep is the circuit breaker. And interestingly, as I've built my own business and now the work that I'm doing, the thing that is the highest level of my focus is my health, my well-being, my mental state, and the sleep. And as soon as they get eaten into, my thinking gets clouded. I don't have the energy. I make wrong decisions. And what it does is it gives you this incredible calmness. Every single person, Amanda, that I interviewed for Be Brilliant, and I interviewed hundreds of leaders around the world. I've also spoken to lots as part of my own podcast. Every single one of them talks about the tipping point between striving, improving, and becoming brilliant is them taking ownership of how do they operate at their best. And that's what we've got to remember. If you are not functioning as an awesome human being, whether you are a parent, a wife, a business owner, a leader, if you are not functioning at your best, how can you possibly bring out the best in other people? So we've got to own this stuff. And we are seeing it so much more now in this year of 2020, where we've almost been forced to slow down, and yet we aren't. The amount of people I speak to who are more exhausted than ever before, who are more fatigued with work than ever before, who are physically tired, even though we're sat working in this screen, is ridiculous. And how can we, you mentioned it, the world's gone mad. It's like we're trying to, if you think about it, there's three major things that we are all trying to live, lead, and build things in. We've got the economic challenge, we've got the health challenge, and we've got the social impact, all globally. And somehow within that, each and every single one of us is trying to live the life that we want, build the businesses that we want, and drive the change that we want. And that's impossible if you're not looking after yourself.
Exactly. And it comes down, it's not the quantity I look at quality.
Yeah.
You don't need to put in the 15 to 20 hours a day. I've never believed in that type of work. The things that you pointed out are my things as well, my health and well-being, my sleep. I'm an 8 to 10 hour a night sleeper. And it means everything to me, because I can't perform at my peak condition for what I want to achieve unless I'm taking care of myself. And it's so funny because my husband Matt is a lot like your husband. Amanda's selfish, but in a good way. I've never been that mummy figure to my husband, because he understands that I've got a mission that I want to live, and I've got to just take care of myself and the children that we have in our community, kind of thing. And sometimes it will come across as selfish, I say to the ladies, but this is what life is about. If you want that success, or you want to be the change that you want to see in others, we're going to make these tough decisions, and sometimes and always people are not going to agree with it.
No, well, I go back to that story I showed at the beginning with my daughter and her saying, "Why are you so unhappy?" And if you put that, at the time, Amanda, I was working full-time for a corporate. I was the martyr in that I would get the kids to bed. I'd then be back on the computer. I'd be working at weekends, on holiday. I'd have my laptop up. I couldn't take holiday. I was literally constantly on the go. And the warning signs were there. There were a couple of times where I was absolutely at the brink of burnout and severe exhaustion. But I kept pushing and pushing and pushing. And when she said to me, why are you so unhappy? What it was the realization, and I hope your listeners can hear this from the context of their own worlds, because it's what message are you sending to the people around you? If you're not looking after yourself, what message are you sending to your kids, the kids in your world, your team, about what is important? So we might talk about health and well-being, like we're seeing it now, the amount of organizations that are talking about health and well-being, and you just go, really? When you look at the fact I've got clients that are having to take phone calls at 1 o'clock in the morning, and then they've got to get on the phone again at 7 a.m. and go, what about health and well-being and caring for your people is that? So it's this concept of you've got to do what you believe in, and you've got to keep thinking and understanding the messaging and the impact that you're having, because everybody is watching. Everybody is watching you. The children are watching you, your friends of children are watching you, the Uber driver's watching you, the barista's watching you, the person at the end of the phone is listening and watching you. But the impact that we are having has such a massive impact on their lives. And I want to make sure that every single day I am intentional about the interactions I have with people. I bring all of myself to it, and to do the best work that I can do, I've got to make sure I look after myself, because I am in service to other people. It's not about me. It's about helping other people unleash their brilliance and do what it is that they want to do.
Kind of like a vehicle maintaining, a beautiful, well, what's the highest end vehicle that we can think of here? Rolls Royce.
Lovely. Yeah, totally.
Janine, what do you love most about what you do? Because the more we talk, the more we're getting fired up here, and we're both on fire. I love it. What is it that you get up and can't wait to do every day?
Do you know what? I love to see the shift that people make. There is nothing that makes me happier than seeing business owners literally in awe at how they've turned their business around. Individuals getting life back on their terms and doing things that they never thought were possible. I've got in my world, I've got an incredible woman that used to be in the Navy. She then built an online business and it failed. And in the last 12 months, we've been reshaping her business. So she is now advising small to medium-sized manufacturers in Australia how to work with defense, because there's so much money in defense. In 12 months, we've taken her from $100,000 to over $1 million, because she found her space. And then I've got freelancers, people that were freelancers that have, that were doing copywriting or editing that have now built these businesses that they know in the 3 years they're going to be able to take a year off to take their kids around the country, and it's all because of their terms. And then even in organizations, individuals that were shy and wouldn't dare speak up or share their idea, you know, stepping onto a stage and influencing audiences with a new innovative idea or getting that next promotion. And that's the staff that just go, "Ah, you've done it. Look at you." And all I've done is just unlock it, unlock it, unlock it. Believe. I always see more in other people than they see in themselves. And when they start living their dream, again, my work is done. My work is done.
Oh, you're glowing. But what impact is this having on your beautiful 3 teenagers? I mean, so many parents, I'm not a mum, but I'm surrounded by children in other ways. And I see some parents, you know, have children that they may have struggles with. How does your world impact your children's world?
That's a really great question. When I was working in corporate, I remember asking my kids, "What do you think mommy does?" And they said, they literally did a silly impression of me going to the office with the briefcase and the phone, but they didn't really talk much about it. I'm like, that's really interesting. I asked them probably about 2 or 3 years ago, because what I've done since I've built my own business is very much be very open with them about what I'm doing. I used to be on a plane probably twice a week. I'd explain to them why I'm doing that. They know my clients. Like, they will, my youngest, because he suffers with anxiety, he's coming to a retreat I'm running this week, and he's just going to be in helping me. And I asked them, "What do you think mommy does?" Or "Why do you think mommy travels and does this work?" And they've all said to me, "Mum, you like helping people. You do your work because you like helping people." And I go, you know what, if that is what they take out of it, awesome. What I've also seen, so my kids are 17, 15 and 12. My 17-year-old is very creative. He's a real thinker, he's a deep thinker. And I totally believe that our children are a gift to us for a very short period of time. Our job is to hopefully give them the tools to become awesome human beings. I also believe that the schooling is to do its job, but that's not my job. My job is to build these beautiful human beings. And he's about to enter year, well, he's just started year 12, and he's really getting worried about the fact he hasn't worked out what he wants to do. And I'm like, who did really at 17? And the conversation I'm having with him is very much talking about the bigger impact, about finding the thing that he loves. And I say to all of them, you know, one of the responsibilities that you have as kids that are very lucky, that are growing up where we're living, is you have to give back to your community. Yeah. And so I've really instilled in them I'm trying to instill in them this understanding that they are one person amongst billions, and yet they have their responsibility is to look around them and see who to support. I'm hoping I'm gifting them the belief that they matter. They're on this planet for a reason, and that doesn't mean you have to become a lawyer, a doctor, an accountant, a vet. It's just them as a human being are here for a reason. And the more that they can start loving who they are, their quirks, their weirdness, their differences, and step into that space, that the impact that they can have is phenomenal. That's what I'm trying to teach them.
Oh, that's truly profound. And, you know, you talk about stepping into your brilliance, owning your brilliance, and going on this journey. If not for you, for your children, it is so worthwhile. That's kind of what you're saying. Because,
yeah, it is, because they're watching you. They're taking their clues from you. And those that are on this call or listening that may be grandparents or aunts or uncles or godparents or have children in their world, which happens to be most of us, they're watching you. They're looking to you. And you've only got to think back to some of the people in your world that you will remember as those moments in time that inspired you. And they might not have been your parents. Potentially, like I remember, I talk about it in the book, and I remember at the age of 15, I came to Australia because my aunt was living here with my mom. And I remember being on a ferry. Subsequently is the Manly Ferry. It's funny how I've ended up exactly where I was at 15. Wow. And I remember meeting this woman, and she must have been in her 20s. She was an English lady and she'd arrived here. She was an air hostess. I remember looking at her thinking, oh my God, you're amazing. And she was talking to me about all these places she traveled. I can see her now. I can't remember her name. And I remember that commute and going, wow, you travel by ferry every single day. And I'm like, the bus in Leeds. That was my definition of luxury. And what I think that moment did is instill possibility. Mm. And I reckon every single one of us has those moments in our life that have flipped a switch somehow. And so to bring it back to each of you that are listening, it is what are you doing every single day to create that switch for others? Because everybody is watching. They're watching how you behave, what you see, how you're looking after yourself, what your response is, how you connect with other people, what you're giving back. Everybody is watching. And every single moment matters.
That is a really beautiful message. And, you know, for every woman watching this interview, I know it has been packed with gold, absolute gold. Do you have any final messages for the woman watching this who would she just love to create that life of success? She wants it all. She wants health, wealth, and happiness. Any parting messages?
I do. And I'm going to grab a prop because I absolutely do believe that you have everything in you that you need to be brilliant. And I just want to, if I'm allowed, just read a couple of bits from the very last bit of my book, which says, do you want more from life? Do you believe you can do more with your life? Because I believe you can. I reckon you're absolutely brilliant, that in that amazing body of mind of yours exists your inner brilliance. In your businesses lies the brilliance that will set you apart from the competition, that will give you the edge, that will guarantee your next growth plan. You have all you need. All your experiences up to now, all the highs and lows, all the wins and the losses, all the high fives shared and failures faced, all of them have got you to here. It's absolutely up to you to decide to do what's next. Brilliance does not magically appear. It requires constant work. But those that do the work will reap the rewards. You will reap increased confidence. You will reap belief in yourself. You will be able to harness the energy to maintain your momentum. And you will surround yourself with people that believe in you and that want you to become better. As individuals, leaders, teams, and businesses, all wanting to do better, be better, become better, we need to be our brilliant selves. You are brilliant, and it's time to let your brilliance shine.
Oh, what a beautiful, heartfelt message. Thank you for sharing that. I've got one final question, if you will.
Yeah.
Janine, I could love to keep going with our conversation. There's so much that we could dive deep into. However, what would you specifically love to be known and remembered for?
Oh, what an awesome question. Do you know what? I asked that question on my podcast, and I'm always grateful that no one's asked me it yet until now. I just want to be remembered for the impact that I have made on individuals to help them step up. I want to be remembered as somebody that believed in other people and believed in possibility. And I want people to look back and remember that moment as that conversation, as that piece of work that we did together. I want to be remembered as a creator of dreams.
Oh, I like that. And you're living that right now. And I know that you'll have a profound impact on our beautiful ladies watching this conversation. And I thank you so much for being an integral part of the movement, Millionairess movement, and being the butterfly effect. Where can women find more about your new book, what you're up to? Let us know.
Oh, fabulous. The best place to find me is I'm on all the social media channels, Janine Garner. And you can check out janinegarner.com.au. And if you just send me a message and let me know that this is how you know me from this call, then we can have a chat. I'd love to connect.
Oh, I've loved our chat today, Janine, and I've got a feeling that this certainly won't be the last time you and I connect.
I think so too. I'm like really curious now as to how to get more of you.
Oh, girlfriend, I'm around. Well, this will be going into my podcast as well. And look, let's stay in touch. There is so much that we can share to the world, keep that impact going, and reach our numbers. I really believe now's the time. This has given us an amazing opportunity, this global stage. And I just love your energy and what you're doing, and what an impact. It's just amazing. So thank you from my heart. I really appreciate it.
Absolute pleasure. Thank you for reaching out, and I wish you all the success. And absolutely, we now know each other, so let's make some magic together.
Absolutely. And of course, Robin will be in touch with you, our publishing ladies, and sharing more about the magazine that you'll be appearing in. And your message is going to hit home with so many of our readers. So thank you, gorgeous.
My absolute pleasure. Thanks for reaching out. I hope to see you soon.
You will, beautiful. Let's stay in touch. You have a fabulous afternoon.
Thanks. Take care. Bye.